Hello, YouTube. It's Wednesday, and that means it's time for Keto
Conversations.
Let's get this started.
Wow, look at you. So this week we're going to talk about actually something that I just kind of had to put into practice, and it's what to think about when you're traveling for business and or could you say family events as well?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
So something social like that.
A social, right, so a business trip or a social gathering that you know you have to go to, that can be for business or family as well. So this is just some tips that I've kind of tried to practice quite a bit, and I just took a trip last week over to the other side of Washington, and had to put a lot of this stuff into practice. So anyway, so the first tip we have is plan ahead. Yeah. So
and you did that. What did you do to plan ahead?
So this was a 2.5 day conference, and there was food included. So there was a lunchtime meal included, and then there were several functions at night on different nights. And so I actually called ahead.
Yes.
I called
to find out what the food would be.
find out what the food could be, and I actually called to see if I could request like a special meal. What do they call that? There's a specific term that they use for that when you have special
dietary restrictions.
When you have special dietary restrictions. So
and
I actually
in this day and age, that's not. I mean, that's extremely. It's actually more unusual if you don't have a dietary restriction.
and so actually it wasn't. So I called because I knew it wasn't really that big of a deal.
You don't need to feel weird about it, because
Yeah.
there's so many people that are lactose intolerant. They have to have something gluten-free, or they're vegan, or...
Right, and I think in the material when I was registering for this thing, I think I saw something in there about if you had special
dietary
needs that you could call. And so I just called to see what the options were. And so now, of course, a ketogenic meal wasn't one of the options, but they were really kind enough to tell me what was on the menu for several of the events. And once I kind of got a feel for what was on the menu, I think for lunch we had it was some kind of baked chicken it had some kind of sauce on it. I was a little leery of the sauce. I think what she told me though over the phone, it sounded like it was going to be okay. So, and then there was rice, of course, and I didn't eat the rice, but there was also some asparagus. And
so there were things you could eat.
So there were things I could eat, and then there was a salad at the beginning, and I kind of picked at that because I didn't want the dressing. Tasted a little bit like it probably had sugar in it, so I just said, okay, I'll just, kind of pick at that. And then I gave away my dessert.
Which usually you don't have a hard time finding somebody to eat your dessert.
And no, I didn't have any problem with that. So the first tip is plan ahead. And
I would think though, your very first plan ahead tip was this year you were allowed to book your own hotel room.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you chose a hotel that had more than a continental breakfast, that had a breakfast option that would include some high protein or some ketogenic foods, where you could get eggs, sausage, bacon.
This hotel actually had a buffet that if you were a guest, you could go, and so I was able to get every day. I was able to get sausage, bacon,
right. So it was more than a continental
eggs,
breakfast. You weren't stuck with like a muffin or a bagel or yogurt or something.
Right.
You were able to get some better choices for breakfast. So that was a good plan.
move. And I picked this hotel because I knew that was part of the deal, as part of being there. They might have been a little bit more expensive, but actually they weren't that much more expensive than the other hotels that didn't have that.
So if you can find a hotel that has more than a continental breakfast, then that is a nice option.
Yeah, that's a nice option. Yeah. So plan ahead. That was the first tip. The next tip is remember that you are in control.
Right.
So
like we talked about in the first tip, you're not being unusual to request a specific dietary choice, especially for business conferences and things like that, or when you go to restaurants, because there's lots of people who have dietary restrictions, so don't feel strange.
Yeah, don't. But like I said, remember, you are in control. You're in control of what you eat. you don't have to just eat what's on the menu served you.
Right.
You can make modifications to meals. People do it all the time, just like Sarah said, for all kinds of dietary needs, not just for keto.
Right.
In fact, I ate lunch with a person who was actually a vegetarian.
Right. It's very common now.
And so, she had to wait around for her special vegetarian plate, but it wasn't, it's just, this is
it's
now
not
more,
unusual.
it's more common now.
And so you shouldn't feel
I went
strange.
went to Burger King, and I think we've talked about this before, but they have a low carb button. I ordered like something like a double Whopper with bacon or something, bacon Whopper or whatever, and they said, "Oh, low carb," and they just tapped it in.
Yep.
They knew that it meant no bun. I had to tell them I didn't want ketchup, and then I wanted mayo on the side, but
And that goes into tip number 3.
Oh, okay. So tip number 3: modify.
Which you did.
Yes.
In every instance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's very few things that can't be modified.
Yeah. Yep. So remember, you're in control, and then don't be afraid to modify. I did that at McDonald's. So I went to this conference. I knew the foods. Oh, and I'll back up a little bit. So at one of the meals we had at the conference was a sort of a vendor-sponsored event, and they had prime rib. They had fajitas mix where you could make fajitas with. Of course, they had taco shells and tortillas, but I was just able to go and say, okay, what can I have?
Right.
And I was able to get plenty of prime rib.
Yeah, and the fajita ingredients.
The fajita ingredients.
The tortilla.
That also included, had peppers mixed in there. They also had lots of cheeses and
sour cream,
vegetables and sour cream. So I ate good. In fact, I ate so well at that vendor reception thing. It was like I didn't even have to go get dinner because I had a meal. I made a meal out of it, and nobody cared. And
that's what it was there for.
That's what it was there for, and I took advantage of it and ate the way that I needed to eat, and didn't feel bad about it or feel weird about it or anything like that. So again, don't be afraid to modify, and keep in mind that you are doing keto, and just because you go somewhere, it's not necessarily a reason that you have to get off of keto. Another option is that you could just not eat.
So that would be tip number 4.
That's tip number 4. And so I say that because sometimes I think we get in the situations, and this might be more, I don't know, necessary. I guess it could be a business thing that you could decide not to eat, because you might go someplace and the options are just very limited.
Right.
And so another option you have is just don't eat.
Right. Unless you're going to a deserted island, you are going to find another meal shortly thereafter.
Right.
Or you could eat before if you think that perhaps what they're going to serve. And that would be a good tip if you're going to go to, say, a family gathering or something like that, and you think that they might be serving quite a bit of things that, your family, your friends, kind of what's going to be served. So you could always choose to eat before you go.
That's
and
true.
Then just eat a little bit of what you can have. Or just, eat after.
Yeah, or you could even bring your own stuff.
Yeah.
You can bring stuff.
Exactly. We have plenty of recipes, and we have more coming up for this spring and summer that are going to be, barbecue related, potluck related, dishes that you could bring with you, and then you can eat it.
Yeah, we've got a recipe coming up that the first time we made it, and we took it to a family gathering, the
cake and the cheesecake and all the super primo fancy expensive desserts that everyone brought did not get touched, but our ketogenic 4-layer dessert got wiped out. It was a miracle that we got a piece.
I know they were. I said something to somebody on Instagram like, "Wow, you were so nice to share with the carbivores," because I wouldn't share my food. But anyway, that is an example.
That is,
and I've had that same thing happen at stuff at work where I've taken a dish because I know I'm gonna attend. Because sometimes I don't attend things at work because I know they're not gonna have anything, and I don't even feel like being bothered with trying to pick through stuff. And so I just say, okay, I'm not gonna go. But if I'm going to attend, then I'm going to bring something that I know that I can eat.
Exactly.
And so that's another strategy.
And a lot of times it will go.
Yeah.
It will fly
go
off the table.
I've seen that happen at my job where people have eaten the keto dish more than they've eaten the regular.
Like your chili.
Yeah. Oh, the chili was another example.
The chili cook-off. Your
Yeah.
chili got eaten.
The chili got eaten, won the prize, and everything.
Yep.
So again, another option might sound extreme, but you don't have to always eat. You can sometimes you can pass.
And you can eat ahead of time, you can eat after,
Yeah.
or you can bring something that you know you can eat.
Yeah. And so tip number 5. So tip number 5 is, if all else fails, pick the lesser of two evils.
So are you talking about, say there's a vegetable plate and it's got ranch dip, or there's cake. You don't know what's in the ranch dip.
Right.
Maybe it has some sugar in it.
Right.
But if you're going to pick between that
and the piece of cake.
and the piece of cake,
You know there's sugar in the cake.
that would be the lesser of two evils.
Right. That's the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I mean, if you let's just be real. Sometimes if you're out and you're in situations where there's just food presented to you, sometimes you do get in situations where it might be difficult. And yes, you cannot eat. But if you just really feel compelled to do something, then you have to make choices. And that's why I say pick the lesser of two evils. So like the example Sarah gave, if you have a cake versus, ranch dressing on some vegetables, I'd pick the ranch dressing.
Right.
Because anytime you go out, you don't know how they're preparing the food.
Exactly.
So even if you pick things that are, keto, that you think can be keto, we still don't know how they're preparing the food. We don't know what they're putting in the different sauces or the gravies, or you just don't know.
Or let's say you went to your great Aunt Rosie's house and you haven't seen her in 15 years.
Yeah.
And she made you your favorite cookies because she's always done that. Then have one of Aunt Rosie's cookies.
Yeah.
But don't take 6 or 7 or 10 or 20 and take some home and all of that. Just have your cookie. She's showing you love. You're showing love back, but end it at that one cookie.
Yeah.
You don't have to go off the rails because you had one of Aunt Rosie's cookies.
Right.
Don't, sit down to a giant smorgasbord because you had that one cookie.
Because you know what? Once that whole event is over with, Aunt Rosie's going to go on about her business, and so are you. And,
So you won't have hurt her feelings.
Right.
But you're picking the lesser of the two evils. You're eating that one cookie, showing your love and appreciation, but moving on from that, and it's not throwing you into this giant spiral.
Right, because that's something that can be a concern. Is so now you say, I'm going to eat all these cookies, and then all of a sudden you're out of control.
Right.
And you can't get back on the keto wagon for days and days and days. And was it sure you made Aunt who? Rosie? Aunt Rosie feel
mythical Aunt Rosie.
You made Aunt Rosie feel good, but like I said, once this whole thing is over with, Aunt Rosie's going on about her business. She ain't even thinking about whether you ate those cookies or not. And so, I've told the story before about going to see my parents and bringing my own groceries and eating the things so that I could eat the things that I needed to eat.
And you still shared your meals with your parents, even though your parents are not keto, they don't follow any dietary restrictions. For the most part, having meals and celebrations with people is a social
Yes,
thing. It's
a
not
social
necessarily about the food that's served.
Right.
It's a social thing. It's getting together and spending time with the people that you care about.
Right.
And so what you're eating should not be as important as the actual activity.
The activity of eating. And so, and in my situation, my parents and my relatives could see how much weight I had lost. And I explained to them, well, the reason I lost this weight is because I eat a certain way. And so, Mom, I don't need you to make fried okra this time.
And
Mom,
if they love you, they will understand.
Right.
I mean, it's either I eat your fried okra or I don't have diabetes. I mean, most people are going to eventually accept your lifestyle.
And you know what? I know that's easier said than done for some of you guys. I get it. I understand it. But we're just throwing these out there because, that's just the reality. Like Sarah said, I ate with my parents. I ate dinner with them.
You sat down at the same table and you had a meal.
And I had a meal. And there were sometimes that they had things that I could eat.
Right.
And I ate with them. And there was nothing special about what I ate. Didn't do anything different.
Right.
So anyway, these are just some tips for how to handle eating keto in business situations, other social situations, and family situations. So hopefully this can be of some help to you guys, and I think that's all we got.
Okay.
All right. So if you're new to our channel, we do these keto conversations every Wednesday. We do recipes on Sunday, and be sure to consider subscribing. We would love to have you as part of our family. If you're a regular subscriber, we'd love to hear your comments and your thoughts about what we talked about today. And if you have other tips, throw those in the comments as well.
And ring my bell.
Yeah, and be sure to ring the notification bell so that you know when we upload new content. So thanks for watching CJ's Keto Kitchen, and I think we're done talking.
Okay. We'll
All
see you
right.
next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, we're supposed to say peace.
Peace.